Welcome to the Charbon Report and our listeners on Google, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. I'm Michael A. Charbon. Today's title, Rubles to Rubble, Global Russian Roulette. You know, it's a deadly game. You load a single bullet into a 6-chamber revolver, you spin the cylinder, you put the gun to your head, and you pull the trigger. There's a 1 in 6 chance, 16.67% chance at instant death if the chamber the gun lands on is that single bullet that will kill you instantly. Russian roulette is deadly. It should never be played. And it's not a game. It's a gamble with death where one can lose. Vladimir Putin played Russian roulette. He dared the world that he would not invade Ukraine. He pulled the trigger as Russia's brutal military is destroying the Ukraine and its people. Not since Hitler in World War II has the horror of unprovoked, inhumane military force thrust evil and destruction upon innocent people of a sovereign European country. The Russian military, they're using banned missiles, tanks, planes, and soldiers to forcibly invade with brutal lethality. How did the world come to this precipice of evil? How did this happen? I believe that there's 5 factors that created this. 1, the global power and ransom of oil and natural gas supply. 2, Europe and NATO's unprepared ambivalence, unwilling to recognize signs of lethal aggression. 3, the power of a nuclear bomb. 4, short-sighted enforcement of breaches of international law. 5, an evil, insane, horrific dictator, Vladimir Putin. Regarding oil, Russia, a glorified gas station acting as a country, supplies 2.5 million barrels of oil a day to, you ready for this? Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, Finland, Greece, Lithuania, Bulgaria, and Romania. It sounds like a cruise trip, just to name a few. Russia? Well, they inked a deal with China to supply over 117 billion in oil. And here's the kicker. Russia supplies roughly 8% of America's oil needs, some 672,000 barrels a day. Oh, one of Joe Biden's first executive actions was to destroy U.S. oil production, exploration, and shut down pipelines. Nice job. Imagine, he then actually encouraged the Russians and OPEC to increase their production while annihilating America's 2019 energy self-sufficiency. You know what that did? That jeopardized one of America's key national assets and a powerful global negotiating tool. It was President Trump who, in no uncertain terms, told NATO and Europe that they were in peril if they did not fund and strengthen their defense, their mutual alliance, and combined power. That's what he said. For months, the Russian army assembled troops on the outskirts of the Ukraine, and it was Europe's unwillingness to recognize signs of lethal aggression or take any firm action which contributed to the tragic present-day reality. The world? They underestimated Putin's insanity. Well, Germany announced that it's committed 2% of its GDP to military preparedness and immediately dedicated $112.7 billion to prioritize its military. Sound familiar? NATO spending based on GDP, you ready for this, has America at the top of the list with $6.85 trillion, representing 3.6% of America's GDP. 9 countries, they possess the nuclear bomb. The United States, Russia, France, China, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. Together, they hold a minimum of 13,000 nuclear weapons, if anyone really can count them all. With Russia, they're ranked number 1, maintaining over 6,000. And the U.S., a close second, number 2, with some supposed 5,000 nuclear warheads. Russia's blackmail threat to go nuclear, if interfered with, is a realistic factor, hampering global military intervention, as shown by NATO's refusal to impose a no-fly zone over the Ukraine to, as they say, avoid a European escalation of a war against Russia that could trigger a nuclear attack. The world's short-sighted enforcement of breaches of international law has also contributed to this conflict. I mean, in 2013, when Syria's President Bashar al-Assad use of poisonous nerve gas on Syrian civilians. You remember those horrible pictures of those kids and all those people dying? Well, it saw President Obama announce to the world his NATO red line policy. Putin refused to abide by the deal, and al-Assad, he continued to use chemical weapons while never brought to international justice. In 2014, a different year, the world watched as Putin took Crimea from the Ukraine. America, still under an ineffective Obama administration, displayed no leadership or real substantial action. I don't care what you say. A world with no backbone, no pushback, no power, and no action, it begets no respect or no fear of retaliation. And those, my friends, are the characteristics and power of an intimidating, cruel bully. Churchill said, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." Today, America cannot be the world's backup as in World War II. With a president confused at times, public approval of his administration at 30%, while being managed by political minders preoccupied with a radical left-leaning Democratic Party divide. This, as America's gas prices climb to $7 a gallon in California today, and a barrel going up to probably $200, and a nation no longer energy self-sufficient. Inflation, it's at a 40-year high. Nice job. As Americans have no appetite to enter another war, particularly after the embarrassing retreat from Afghanistan. All this while 2 million illegal aliens walked into America from an unsecured southern border. It all paints a picture of vulnerable, ineffective, weak administration. Today, a newly unified Europe stands together against Russia's aggression. Global sanctions, not bullets, are the world's arsenal to eliminate Russia from the global community. You're out, buddy. Putin has doomed his people. He's doomed them back to the 60s on a path of inevitable years of depression, poverty, hunger, economic destruction, and sustained years of great, great pain. Putin's action will decimate his economy and the stock market, as all international businesses, rightly so, and their relationships and currency exchange have stopped, reducing the ruble to rubble. Putin may temporarily win the battle, but in the end will never, never win the war against the Ukrainian people's unified spirit, their grit, and their patriotism. Ukrainian freedom will rise again. But at what cost? And how long can its people fight back? The world must never, ever forget Putin's crimes against humanity and his failed gamble, and never again allow anyone to play Russian roulette with the world. Can you imagine? Iran with a bomb threatening Israel? Or China invading Taiwan with impunity? Or Kim Jong-un launching missiles into South Korea? Humanity must take note. Countries led by dangerous tyrants like Putin will take advantage of inaction, reluctance, and ambivalence, which may just result in bringing humanity, again, to the brink. Godspeed to the people of Ukraine. Finally, please press share, like, subscribe, and if you're listening to your podcast, please subscribe. For more episodes, visit thecharbonreport.com. Until next time, with a sad heart, God bless and stay safe. I'm Michael A. Charbon for The Charbon Report.